Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. As you know, Boomerocity pretty much zeroes in on the classic rock genre, you know, classic blues, country, R&B, that type of thing. But hey, I can do whatever I want, and basically I present anybody who I feel is of interest to our generation, the baby boomer generation, and of course, collective souls square into that. Even though they're outside of that baby boomer niche, so to speak, and outside of the 70s, early 80s, and that type of thing, I happen to know that many of us absolutely love collective soul, and they've got a new album out. It's called From Here to Eternity, and there are 20 great songs. Each one of them can be a classic on their own. And so if you haven't already got the album, I encourage you to get it ordered. And I also encourage you to listen to this interview that I'm doing with the band's bassist, Will Turpin. Had a great chat, and we talked about this brand new album, the tour coming up with Hootie and the Blowfish, as well as just other things about the business. And so I'm pretty sure you guys are really going to love this interview. So watch it. Please hit like on whatever you're listening to this on, as well as subscribing to the channel. And if you would, just please do that and share it with your friends because that all helps us out all the way around. It won't cost you a dime. So, without any further ado, here's my first interview with Will Turpin of Collective Soul. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Will. How you
Hey,
doing?
good man. Sorry I'm late.
No problem. Hey, it's the business, right?
I mean, maybe.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. I know you got a lot going on. Home studio or the studio?
Yeah, I'm at reel to reel.
Cool. Very cool. Heard so much about it. So, well, man, thanks for joining me. Thank you for 30 years of great music, man. It
Yeah,
just
cheers. Thanks.
it's it's um it's just I always am thrilled to be able to talk to the people that's contributed to the soundtrack of my so-called youth and so even more so-called adulthood, early adulthood, whatever. So, so you're down in Georgia. I'm up the road from you in Sevierville, Tennessee, up in the Smokies.
Oh, right on, man. Right on.
What is this new album? Is it the one that's behind me here? Is it the 12th studio album for you guys, if I counted right?
That's what everybody keeps telling me.
Who wants to count now, right? So, what?
I'm just I'm just glad we're here. We always wanted to be known for our music. We wanted to have a prolific repertoire of music, and we're here.
Yeah,
We have done it.
you have. As I told you, I'm here in Sevierville, and I think some up and comer lady by the name of Dolly Parton even did one of your songs once, right?
Yeah, she's got a chance, I think, to,
Uh,
to
she
make it.
she might if she tries really hard. Yeah. So so you guys record well, first of all, 20 songs on this thing, man. What a deal. I did the math on it after looking up the price on Amazon, and it's like 75 cents a song. Heck of a deal. So what's the story behind this album, man? And all these songs. I mean, you're putting out the bargain, and fans got to be thrilled. I know I am. What's the backstory on this thing?
Ed's the primary songwriter. He's prolific. He's never stopping. He's never going to stop. It's just part of his life. We're a band. We love recording. That's the true just roots of the backstory. But to get into the record and how much fun we had recording it and stuff, we befriended someone who knew the owner of Elvis's Palm Springs home. And, we met him about 3 years ago and got to tour Elvis's home in Palm Springs, and, of course, the light bulb in our eyes was, or in our mind was, we always like to go, to remote locations and record, so our light bulb idea was let's definitely record in Elvis's house, so it took a couple years to plan it out and get it going, but, last January, is when we did the bulk of this record. We were there every day. We set up the studio inside the house. We bring in a bunch of gear on in gear racks, and we use of course hard drives are important thing now. It's not all the tape machines and such.
Yeah.
We set up in Elvis's house, and he didn't change a lot of stuff. It was an absolute time capsule. The
Wow.
DNA was just still just dripping off the walls. Um, and we get in there and we record like a band. We have to get together as a band, act like a band, be a band. And then when we know it's right, we get that, we get that sensation that like, wow, okay, we're stumbling onto something good here. And then that's when we basically start hitting record. And we go through about a song a day. We won't be complete with all the overdubs in one day, but the essence of the song will be about one song per day. We had a blast in Palm Springs for the whole month. It's a pretty small community in Palm Springs.
Mm.
So everybody, we always hang in groups. We are a band. So pretty much the whole town knew Collective Soul was recording a record there after about 1 week. The rest of January, everybody knew,
Probably
oh,
sooner.
yeah, there's those guys, Collective Soul, every restaurant, every store, of course, every late night bar. Um, but yeah, man, we had a blast, loved Palm Springs, and got in there in Elvis's house, man. And then in relation to the name of the record, Here to Eternity, we actually were living in one of Burt Lancaster's Palm Springs homes. It's an Airbnb, so that's where we were living, and then we were commuting to Elvis's house to record, which the commute was a solid 2 miles or something.
Wow. Well, interesting that we're having this conversation because I just recently interviewed the co-author of a book called Elvis and the Colonel, which, there's a couple of books out there by that, but this is a pretty new one that came out towards the end of last year. And it was a book written by the Colonel's protege, Greg McDonald. And it was co written by Marshall Terrell, a friend of mine.
Mhm.
And I was supposed to interview Greg, but sadly he got ill and passed just before we were supposed to talk.
Oh,
But
wow.
the
I didn't
stories,
know.
yeah, the story centers around how he met Elvis. And then the colonel calls while he's talking. He was a kid at the time, and the colonel says, "I want to meet this boy." And then the book is great. If you haven't heard of it or read it, get it,
I'm
read it. It's great.
I'm actually close friends with Marshall. I've
Are you
got
really? I'll be
Yeah,
darned.
I've got my signed copy at home, and I've started reading it, and I've got a copy here in the studio as well.
I'll be darned. Well, he said he's sending me one. I haven't got it yet. Marshall, get me that
Uh-oh, I'll text him. I'm gonna text him today. I mean,
Okay, good deal.
you're
Well,
behind, buddy.
I'll dog him as soon as we hang up here. But great guy. We met through Ken Mansfield, and who
Mhm.
passed away a little over a year ago. And of course, our mutual big sister from another rocking mister is Nancy Andrews, and who is Ringo's ex fiance. So anyway, small world, small world. So you guys also recorded a song elsewhere. I know where it is, but tell fans where the other song was. And it's one of my favorite songs on the album too. But
Oh,
the Ryman,
which one?
the Ryman. I thought there was a didn't
Oh, yeah, that's live at the Ryman. That's
right,
true. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Um, we did some, uh is it which one is it? Is it Over and Out that's live at the Ryman, or is it,
Dylan.
the
Where
Dylan tune? Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's totally live. Yeah, man, Ed was crushing that live. He was playing harp and playing that live, and we thought, "Oh, let's put it on the record." There's a handful of things that weren't technically recorded at Elvis's house, so I
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
sure which one you were talking about.
Okay. Well, I think that the one sheet said that it was the Dylan song. That's how I think of it and remember it in my mind is the Dylan song. I think
Yeah,
it's
man, we
Bob
we
Dylan,
would
Where Are You Today? I think is the title.
yeah, we'd walk off stage and let Ed do that one Bob Dylan style. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
acoustic guitar, harmonica, and his vocal, and there was some really moving times live, and, yeah, we just thought, the essence of that song is there, it's already there, it's live, it's good, there's no reason to do anything else to that, so
I've got some advice for Ed, by the way, and that is if he really wants to stand out, he needs to dress a little louder or something,
yeah,
He's
he's always
not so
wearing this
subdued.
always wearing jogging pants and hoodies, man,
Well, Hoodie reminds me of Hootie. You guys are going I'm gonna come back to the album here in a minute, but you guys are getting ready to go on tour with Hootie and the Blowfish, man. How did that come about?
Well, I mean, golly, 30 years. This is our 30-year anniversary also. And I'm I don't see why Hootie wouldn't call it their 30-year anniversary as far as both of those bands, Hootie and Collective Soul. We were from the South, and all of a sudden we found ourselves signed to this big record label in New York City, Atlantic Records.
Mhm.
And both of us released our first records in 1994. And we've known each other since then. And we're going back on tour again. I mean, we're just friends, and it makes sense. The crowds, we've played a number of shows with them over the years. But the crowds really appreciate the yin and yang between a little bit of the southern rock and pop rock that we throw down, and then the good old wholesome Americana rock that Hootie throws down. The crowds seem to really dig it. Our buddy Edwin McCain is also on tour
Mhm.
for the whole summer. So I mean, just kind of like, wow, was that really all of us in the 90s? I mean, we had so much good times in the 90s, and then it always continued on, but uh it's just really nice to know some of these people this long, your peers, they become your friends.
And still
And
doing it, you know,
we're all
that's
still doing it. Edwin's band is amazing. Hootie and the Blowfish are amazing now. So wow, yeah, 30 years later, who would have thought?
yeah. So back to the album, I mean, 20 songs. I'm not gonna ask you, what's your favorite because that's, as I always say, that's like asking somebody who their favorite kid is, and we're not really supposed to do that, but what's what song would you point to as a calling card for the whole album, telling fans, "Hey, if you like this, you're gonna love the whole album."
Yeah, I mean, Collective Soul's always had an eclectic little, every one of our records has something that's maybe more straight ahead, pretty pop. We've always got something that's almost metal.
Mhm,
And we've got these eclectic, funky songs as well. We even get to swing. Me and Johnny Rab, the drummer in Collective Soul, we got to swing on one song. Matter of Fact
mhm.
was the name of the tune. So we're always. It's like we're not trying to do something. We don't set out trying to do that. It's just part of who we are. We kind of sprung from influences that were all over the place. No different than when the Beatles would make a record, or somebody else. There's influences that come in from all over the place, and we just kind of roll with those influences. And like I said, when it feels good, we get that sensation, and we know that we're onto something. But I would say Mother's Love also, like there's a good example of a just
Yes.
great Collective Soul riff rock song. That'll be the first single. Um, I'm 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 really proud of Let It Flow. I really think I tapped into something on that bass line there.
Well, and
Uh,
Hey Man too. I mean, that opening riff there that's you on the bass, is it not?
on which one?
Hey Man?
Hey Man, I think, that's the only one that Ed played the bass part on, I think.
What? Alright. Mhm. Sorry about that, man. I just put it there because I just love that little riff you guys had going on that, so
I can't remember what I was doing. I was out of town for a day or 2, and Ed threw the bass part down, and, I said, "Leave it."
well, out of all those songs and the process of doing this at Elvis's old home and such, were there any surprises at all? I mean, you guys done, now 12 albums. What's Were there any surprises?
It's always fun just having friends come in. I think the surprises would be like when Mickey Thomas, Starship comes in, and speaking of Hey Man, we got to get around the vocal mic with Mickey, and do all those background vocals with him on that song. Our buddy Peter Stroud came in,
Mhm.
uh, and surprised us and recorded on some tracks. Um, musically, yeah, musically, it's just like, man, we just we just open up every new day and just kind of start with a clear palette and see where it goes. So there's always surprises that you don't expect because it's not really planned all the time. But man, we just had fun doing it.
I heard you ran into McCartney's player, Brian Ray, who I
Brian Ray's also, we ran into him in Palm Springs. He didn't make it to the Elvis house. He made the overdubs. Uh, but yeah, man, Brian's on the record as well, which is yeah, that's an honor.
did you check out his pool? He's got the coolest pool. It's a
Oh, really?
Yeah, vanishing edge pool. I used to build pools in Dallas. but they're vanishing edge pool that's shaped like a guitar. Probably like
Nice.
yeah, very cool. I've seen the pictures and it's amazing. I wanna shift to your guys' first big hit and just ask, you know, not so much what went behind this particular song, but wonder if there's any cool stories associated with it, like after you release it, and that's, Shine. I mean, I alluded to Dolly recording it earlier, but I find that artists oftentimes get told stories by fans about their songs, or maybe there's a cool story that's not commonly known associated with the creation of the song. Shine is just such a cool so I just love that grind to it, you know. Do you have any stories that you can share tied to that song at all?
I Yeah, I mean, Sean was, Ed's 7.5 years, 8.5 years our senior. Sean's an example of a song where he was at my father's studio engineering and working on his craft while we were younger. He was, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think Ed was in a time in his life where he was trying to figure out exactly what he wanted to do. I think his friends were getting married, getting real jobs, and he was just looking for answers. So we thought the song was awesome. We put it on that collection that became the first record.
Mhm,
We thought the first single would probably be "Good Night, Good Guy," the rockin' song. It was recorded more as a band.
mhm,
Um, but I mean, I guess the story with Shine is it took off all on its own. It started at college radio, Album 88 in Atlanta, Georgia.
mm,
We were on an independent label,
mhm,
and somehow the Steve Robertson at WJRR in Orlando was sent a copy of the independent release, and he threw us on a Sunday night show where it was wasn't a smash or trash. It was a head to head kind of thing. Like you'd go head to head with somebody else each week, and then callers would vote for the winner. And we kept hearing that yeah, we keep winning each week in this commercial radio station, which was unheard of, right?
mhm.
Um, and yeah, man, it was just Shine was just one of those that who would have thought, man? But that little snowball started at the top of a hill, and it was an avalanche by the time it got to the bottom. And at the end of '94, that's rock song of the year.
Yep, yep.
And we're playing Woodstock and touring with Aerosmith.
No, I bet you there's some stories.
It was a tame Aerosmith tour. It was a sober
Well,
Aerosmith tour.
that's relatively speaking, I'm sure. So,
It was pretty tame. They're pretty pro. They're
yeah,
pretty pro.
yeah, yeah. So what can fans expect from the tour that's about to start? I mean, we're talking here in April, and you guys will be hitting my neck of the woods in Knoxville in September. What can we expect?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at this point, it's we'll have an hour set. So Collective Soul is gonna try to we're gonna try to come up with just the ups and downs, the emotion of a set. We're gonna try to play a lot of songs back to back as we can so we can get a lot in there. But we're gonna play some new stuff off the record, of course. We're gonna play some of the hits, almost all the hits. But we can't play all the hits and we can't play everything everybody wants to hear. We just call it a celebration of life at this point, man. We're just celebrating the memories. I mean, just like you said, soundtrack of your life. We've done that. We're integrated into the fabric of a lot of people's memories and their lives.
Through that?
Um, a
No.
lot of their loved ones that aren't even around anymore would consider some of our music some of their favorite music. So sometimes there's tears of joy, sometimes there's tears of memory. Um, and we see a lot of generations, multi generations at the shows now. So it's about celebrating life, celebrating the music together, celebrating the power of music. Um,
Mhm.
and having, and in the end, if you do that, I think you're going to have a really good time.
No, we're looking forward to it. Solo work, you've done some stuff, Serengeti album is phenomenal. You got anything cooking in that area?
Yeah, I've been definitely taking notes and writing lyrics.
Hey,
I've got a lot of ideas. When I sit behind the piano, kind of different side of me comes out. It's more melodic. It's a little more. I don't have to be the rhythm section rock guy.
yeah.
So yeah, man, it's a little funky. It's a little poppy. But, man, I've got no lack of ideas and songs that I've started. So I've started the list of what I want to be on the record, and I'm trying to, get almost all the lyrics somewhat done. Because usually if I start a record, a lot of times I'll start a record with ideas, and it takes me maybe between Collective Soul and producing all these other bands at the studio, it takes me about a year and a half to get done. So I'm trying to do a lot of pre-planning and pre-production so I can start this next record and hopefully finish within a few, maybe 3 to 6 months or something like that.
Well, man, when it's ready, please let me know. We'll do another one of these so we can talk about that because
Yeah, man.
I'd love to help promote that. As you know, I'm not Rolling Stone magazine, thank God, but I do have a pretty decent following around the world, so I'd like to help get the word out. So,
Yeah, cheers, man. Yeah.
but, what else is on your radar besides the tour and working on this album? You're producing stuff, and anything you can let fans know about.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I can't wait. 30-year anniversary tour again. Every time I say it, I chuckle a little bit. But yeah, man, I've been pouring a lot of energy into the studio. This is I tell everybody it's my legacy, Reel to Reel Studios. It's where Collective Soul came from. My father, Ed says it eloquently. He says, my father gave us the ground, the fertilized ground to grow from. And my dad passed away 5 years ago now.
Mm,
And I walked in the studio. A little bit of the lifeblood had been sucked out of it over the years, going through the era where studios were becoming not so cool, and my dad was getting older. Um, so I came in here after he passed away, and I just knew in my heart that I couldn't let it go. This design is too it's too special. It's a gem of a design. It's top notch. And in an era when a lot of the studios, a lot of the other pro studios in Atlanta were shutting down, I started putting a lot of money in refurbing this place and pouring some love and a decent amount of money into it as well. So I'm having fun producing a lot of people. Anybody from California to Ohio to Texas, they're coming in and working with me, and I'm having a blast doing that and trying to make another mark somewhere else as a producer.
I'm sure you've been asked this a million times too, but how do you want to be remembered, and what do you hope your legacy is?
You know what? It's just want to be remembered by the music. When we were young, we weren't we weren't fired up on selling tickets and being cool. We Even when we were young, we always said we wanted to be known for our music. And I'll still stand behind that right now. I want to be known for the songs, the music, um, and just being down to earth and humble and appreciative of the opportunities we've been given.
Very cool. I love it. Well, Will, this has been a thrill for me. My door is always open to you guys, the band, whatever you guys together or separately have going. I'd love to help do my part to plug. Hopefully I can catch you at the September show in Knoxville. I'd love to see you guys there and maybe sneak backstage and bump elbows or something, whatever's permitted at those times. So
Yeah, we can do that.
all right. Sounds cool. Sounds very cool. So, hey, this will be going up in a couple of weeks and help plugging thing. There'll also be an article in Everything Knoxville magazine in September about this chat. So I want to help plug the show as much as possible as well. So,
Right on.
all right, man. Well, thanks for joining me, and we'll be talking somewhere down the road.
Right on. Cheers. Thanks, man.
Take care. Bye bye.